Welcome back to the channel, tennis fans. Today, we are breaking down a monumental moment in the world of women's tennis, a moment that has absolutely sent shockwaves to the sport and caused an entire stadium to erupt in pure, unadulterated madness. I am talking about the phenomenal, the unstoppable, the absolute pride of the Philippines, Alex Eala. The crowd in Birmingham went absolutely insane, and rightfully so, as Alex Eala walked out onto those pristine grass courts not just as a competitor, but as the top seed. Let that sink in for a moment. The top seed at the Lexus Birmingham Open. And she did not just show up to participate. She showed up to dominate, officially reaching her first final of the year after a heart-stopping, rain-delayed, three-set absolute thriller against a formidable Swiss powerhouse, Rebecca Mazurova. This is the breaking news that is dominating the tennis world right now. Alex Eala has punched her ticket to the final with a 6-2, 4-6, 6-3 victory, and the journey to get there was nothing short of cinematic. We are going to dive incredibly deep into every single aspect of this run. We will analyze the tactics, we will scrutinize the faults, we will highlight the massive improvements in her game, and we will preview what is to come in the grand finale. But first, we have to talk about the sheer gravity of this achievement and the electric atmosphere that surrounded it. When the tournament brackets were released and the draw was finalized, seeing Alex Eala's name at the very top of the list as the #1 seed was a defining milestone. For years, we have watched her grind on the ITF circuit, battle through the junior ranks, secure Grand Slam junior titles, and carry the weight of an entire nation on her shoulders. Stepping out onto the grass courts of the Edgbaston Priory Club, a venue steeped in history and tradition, carrying the #1 target on her back, is a pressure cooker situation. Many young players crumble under that exact type of pressure. The expectation is heavy. Every opponent plays their absolute best tennis against the top seed because they have absolutely nothing to lose. But when Alex walked out, the crowd reception was deafening. There is something truly special about her connection with the fans. The Filipino diaspora shows up in droves, bringing an energy that you rarely see at these WTA events. The flags were waving, the cheers were echoing, and as she stepped onto turf, you could see the laser-focused determination in her eyes. She was not intimidated by the seed. She embraced it. This tournament marked her transition from the grueling red clay of the French Open, where she faced a tough first-round exit against Ivajovic, straight into the incredibly fast, low-bouncing, unpredictable grass court season. That transition is notoriously the most difficult surface change in professional tennis. You go from sliding into your shots and dealing with heavy topspin staying incredibly low, reacting in a split second, and relying heavily on the serve +1 combination. And yet, Eala made it look entirely seamless. Let us rewind and look at the path of destruction she left in her wake, leading up to this spectacular semifinal. She opened her campaign with a masterclass against the Australian. Priscilla honorable people were wondering how long it would take for her to find her grass court footing. The answer? 0 minutes. She dismantled Han with a staggering 6-0, 6-2 victory. The first set took a mere 22 minutes. It was a statement of intent. It was as if she was telling the rest of the locker room that the top seed had arrived and she meant business. Then came the challenge of the Russian, Alina Kareva, a tighter match, testing Eala's resolve in the crucial moments of the second set. But Eala prevailed 6-2, 7-5, demonstrating her clutch gene when the margins got thin. In the quarterfinals, she faced a very familiar foe in Thailand's Maninkaya Sawanki. If you recall, these two battled for the gold medal at the Southeast Asian Games, a match that ended a 26-year gold medal drought for the Philippines in women's singles. The psychological advantage was heavily in Eala's corner, and she proved it by weathering an early storm of break points in the opening game. 9 deuces in that first game alone. She saved 4 break points, held her nerve, and then cruised to a 6-3, 6-2 victory, ending the Thai players' brilliant undefeated run from the qualifiers. All of this set the stage for Saturday's colossal semifinal clash against Rebecca Mazurova. Mazurova is no stranger to Eala. They even partnered up for doubles at this very tournament in a previous iteration. They know each other's games intimately. Mazurova brings a blistering serve and heavy baseline power, currently ranked number 132 in the world, but playing well above that number on the grass. The stakes could not have been higher. A spot in the final, massive ranking points, and a massive boost of confidence heading into the Wimbledon qualifiers. The atmosphere was incredibly tense. The skies above Birmingham were gray, threatening and heavy with anticipation. The crowd, wrapped in jackets, buzzing with nervous energy, watched as Eala immediately asserted her dominance. She came out of the gates flying, neutralizing Mazerova's massive serve with incredible defensive returns and immediately turning defense into offense. Eala surged to a quick 6-2 victory in the opening frame. It looked like it was going to be another routine day at the office for the Filipina sensation. Her forehand was dictating the rallies. Her movement was exceptionally crisp, and she was stepping inside the baseline to take the ball early, rushing Mazerova and not allowing the Swiss player any time to set up her heavy ground strokes. But tennis is a game of extreme momentum shifts, and grass is a surface where one slight lapse in concentration can cost you a set in the blink of an eye. As we summarize this epic encounter, we have to talk about the resilience required to survive what happened next. Mazerova dug deep. She found her rhythm. She started landing her first serves with terrifying accuracy, ultimately racking up 11 aces in the match compared to Eala's 0. Let that sink in. Eala won a grass court semifinal against a big server without hitting a single ace. That speaks volumes about her baseline game and her return capabilities. Mazerova broke Eala in the fifth game of the second set and managed to hold on, taking the second set 6-4 despite Eala desperately trying to claw her way back, including a heartbreaking 8th game where Eala squandered a 30-0 lead that could have shifted the tide. So we enter deciding third set. The tension is palpable. The crowd is on the absolute edge of their seats. The momentum is firmly in Mazerova's corner. Eala takes the first 2 games, showing incredible mental fortitude to reset after losing the second set. But Mazerova roars right back, leveling it at 2-2. Then Eala holds the love in the 5th game, an emphatic statement of defiance, regaining the lead at 3-2. And then the ultimate disruptor in tennis, the rain. The skies open up, forcing the organizers to pull the covers over the court. A rain delay in the middle of a deciding set of a semifinal is sheer psychological torture. You are locked in a battle, your adrenaline is through the roof, your muscles are warm, and suddenly you are forced to sit in the locker room, stare at the wall, and overthink every single shot. The delay wasn't just a brief shower. The match was halted twice, with the second break lasting over 2 excruciating hours. 2 hours of waiting, 2 hours of analyzing, 2 hours of the crowd wondering if the top seed would lose their momentum. This is where champions are separated from the rest of the pack. When they finally returned to the court, Eala was up 5-2. The conditions were different. The ball was heavier. The grass was potentially slicker. Mazerova showed massive grit, holding her serve to extend the match to 5-3. Asking Eala the ultimate question. Can you serve out the match under immense pressure after a 2-hour delay? The answer was a resounding yes. Eala fired back-to-back forehand winners, climbing out of an early hole in that final game. Despite dumping a shot into the net for deuce, she capitalized on Mazerova's subsequent unforced errors. Game, set, match. The crowd exploded. The sheer relief and joy on Eala's face told the entire story. She had survived a phenomenal test of her physical and mental endurance, walking out as a top seed and living up to massive hype, navigating a perilous 3-setter against a booming server, and maintaining her composure through agonizing rain delays. This was a signature win. This was the news that sent shockwaves through the tennis community. Alex Eala is not just participating in the grass court season. She is conquering it. And this brings us perfectly into our deep dive analysis of how exactly she achieved this, what faults she needs to address, and the remarkable improvements she has showcased in Birmingham. Moving right into the deep dive analysis, we need to dissect the mechanics, the tactics, the faults, and the improvements that define Alex Eala's current form. Let us start with the analysis of her overall game plan on the grass. Grass court tennis is fundamentally different from any other surface. It rewards first strike tennis, aggressive returns, and the ability to stay exceptionally low to the ground. For Eala, whose game has historically been heavily built on the clay courts of the Rafa Nadal Academy, adapting to grass requires a conscious paradigm shift. What we saw against Mazerova, and indeed throughout the entire Birmingham tournament, is Eala's exceptional ability to shorten her backswing. On clay, You have the luxury of time to wind up those massive, looping ground strokes. On grass, if your backswing is too long, the ball is already past you before you swing. Eala has visibly compacted her strokes. She has taken the ball incredibly early, right off the bounce, using the pace of her opponents against them. Against Mazarova, who was bombing serves and trying to bully Eala around the court. Eala's return position was crucial. She didn't retreat to the fence like many players do against big servers. She stood her ground, blocked the returns back deep down the middle, neutralizing the angles and forcing Mazarova to play an extra ball. Let's look at the statistics from that semifinal clash, because numbers never lie. Mazarova hit 11 aces, Eala hit 0. Mazarova had a 76% first serve percentage in the second set, which she won. But look at Eala's numbers. She won 82% of her second serve points in the deciding third set. That is an absolutely staggering statistic. Winning 82% of points on your second serve on grass is almost unheard of. It means her second serve, while perhaps not generating raw speed, is incredibly well-placed, likely kicking up high into Mazarova's backhand, preventing the Swiss player from attacking it. It also means Eala was completely dominant in the baseline rallies once the ball was in play. Eala created a massive 13 breakpoint opportunities throughout the match, converting 4 of them. This shows constant, relentless pressure on the Mazarova serve. She wasn't just holding her own. She was actively seeking to dismantle her opponent's biggest weapon. Eala won a total of 88 points to Mazarova's 73. That is a significant margin in a 3-set match, indicating that despite the dip in the second set, Eala was a superior player over the aggregate of the contest. However, a true deep dive requires us to look at the faults, the areas where the armor showed cracks. If we are to objectively analyze the match, we have to talk about the second set and the specific tactical errors that allowed Mazarova back into the contest. Eala started the match flawlessly, but in the second set, her first serve percentage dropped. She committed 3 double faults in the match, and while that number isn't astronomical, the timing of those faults was problematic. The most glaring fault, the moment that could have cost her the match against a more clinical opponent, occurred in the 8th game of the second set. Eala was down 4-3, serving, or rather, Mazarova was serving at 4-3, and Eala built a fantastic 30-0 lead. This was her window. This was the moment to break back, level the set at 4-4, and apply terminal pressure. Instead, Eala squandered that 30-0 lead. She got too passive. She waited for Mazarova to make a mistake instead of stepping up and taking the break. On grass, passivity is a death sentence. Mazarova recognized the hesitation, stepped into her shots, won 4 straight points, held for 5-3, and eventually served out the set. That is a tactical fault. It is a moment of youthful hesitation that she must eradicate from her game if she is to beat top-tier, top 50 opponents. Furthermore, there were moments where Eala found herself pinned behind the baseline, allowing Mazarova to dictate the angles. Eala's defensive slice, a crucial shot on grass to keep the ball low and buy time, sometimes floated a bit too high, sitting up perfectly in Mazarova's strike zone. These are the minute details, the subtle faults that her coaching team will be reviewing meticulously on the tape. The slow start in the opening game of her quarterfinal against Sawanki, where she faced 4 breakpoints, is another example of a minor fault, a lack of immediate focus right out of the gate. She cannot afford to give elite players those early looks at her serve. But for every fault, there has been a massive, undeniable improvement. And the improvements are exactly why she is in the final. The most significant improvement in Alex Eala's game in 2026 is her mental resilience. 2 years ago, if you put her in a deciding third set against a big server, followed by a 2-hour rain delay, the outcome might have been very different. She might have let the frustration boil over. But today's Alex Eala is cold, calculating, and incredibly mature. The way she regrouped at the start of the third set, immediately holding serve and then breaking Mazarova to take a 2-0 lead, was a masterclass in hitting the reset button. She completely flushed the disappointment of the second set. When the rain delay hit at 3-2, and then again at 5-2, she didn't lose her focus. Her post-match quote encapsulates this perfectly. "It was such a tough battle today. Rebecca played really well. She put me in some tough spots." There's a deep respect for the opponent, but a quiet confidence in her own ability to navigate those tough spots. Another massive improvement is her transition game. Eala is no longer just a baseliner. She is recognizing the short ball much faster on the grass. When Mazarova hit a short slice, Eala was already sprinting forward, taking the ball out of the air with swinging volleys, or hitting precise approach shots deep into the corners and closing the net. Her hands at the net have improved drastically, a necessary evolution for grass court success. She is playing proactive tennis, not reactive tennis. And finally, her forehand down the line has become a lethal weapon. Traditionally, she would use her heavy cross-court forehand to build the point, but in Birmingham, she has been stepping around her backhand and ripping the forehand down the line with devastating accuracy, catching her opponents completely off guard. This injection of unpredictable pace is a monumental improvement that elevates her from a good player to a highly dangerous contender on any surface. And that brings us to the ultimate preview and the outro of this phenomenal saga. Alex Eala is in the final. She has walked through the fire. She has handled the pressure of the top seed. She has beaten the weather, and she has beaten her opponents. Now, she stands on the precipice of a massive title. The final of the Birmingham Open is not just another match. It is a coronation of her hard work and a stepping stone to the highest echelons of the sport. As we look ahead to this final matchup, what does Eala need to do to lift that trophy? First and foremost, she needs to protect her first serve. She cannot afford the dips in percentage that we saw in the second set against Mazarova. She needs to serve with high placement, utilizing the slice serve out wide on the ad court to open up the court for her massive forehand. Secondly, she must maintain the aggressive baseline positioning. The moment she starts retreating, she gives up the inherent advantage of the grass court. She must continue to take the ball on a rise, dictating the tempo and forcing her opponent to play off their back foot. She has proven that she has the stamina. She has proven she has the mental fortitude. Now, she just needs to execute the game plan with cold, ruthless precision. The implications of this tournament run are absolutely staggering for her career trajectory. The ranking points she has accumulated here will provide a massive surge, inching her ever closer to that coveted automatic main draw entry for the Grand Slams. Think about what this means for the upcoming Wimbledon Championships. Arriving at the All-England club with a deep run, or potentially a title, on grass under her belt gives her an aura of invincibility. Opponents will look at the draw, see Alex Eala's name, and know they are in for an absolute war. She is no longer the underdog. She is the proven commodity on the surface. For Philippine tennis, this is a golden era. She is inspiring an entire generation of young athletes back home, proving that with enough dedication, the right training, and an unbreakable spirit, a Filipina can dominate the world stage in a sport historically dominated by Europeans and Americans. The 26-year gold medal drought she broke at the SEA Games was just the appetizer. This run in Birmingham is the main course, signaling her true arrival on professional WTA Tour. As we wrap up this extensive deep dive, I want to take a moment to appreciate the sheer dedication it takes to reach this level. From the early mornings in Manila to the grueling training sessions in Mallorca at the Rafa Nadal Academy, to the lonely hotel rooms and the relentless travel schedule of the ITF and Challenger circuits, Alex Eala has sacrificed immensely for these moments. The crowd going insane in Birmingham was not just cheering for a tennis match. They were cheering for a journey. They were cheering for the culmination of years of blood, sweat, and tears. They witnessed a young woman embrace the pressure of being the top seed, look adversity straight in the eye in the form of rain delays and heavy-hitting opponents, and say, "Not today. Today is my day." Now, I want to hear from all of you in the comments section below. What did you think of that epic semi-final against Mazarova? Were you sweating during that 2-hour rain delay as much as I was? Do you think her aggressive return position is the key to her grass court success? And most importantly, what are your predictions for the grand final? Drop your thoughts, your analysis, and your messages of support for Alex Eala down below. If you enjoyed this incredibly deep dive into the tactics, the drama, and the triumph of this match, please make sure to smash that like button. It really helps the channel out. Subscribe and turn on those notification bells so you never miss an update as we continue to follow Alex Eala's phenomenal journey, as well as all the latest breaking news in the world of professional tennis. We will be watching the final very closely, analyzing every single point, and we will be right back here to break it all down for you. Until then, keep enjoying the beautiful game of tennis. Keep supporting your favorites. And remember that on any given Sunday, or in this case, any given weekend in Birmingham, greatness can unfold right before our eyes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.